Welcome to another episode of Flutter Games. We're using Forge 2D and Flame to build a type of angry animal or angry pastry type of game. We're using the box 2D physics. If you want to follow on with the tutorial, there's a GitHub repository in the description, and you should probably go back to the branch 02 linear impulse. So this is before we put it onto the Android emulator. And then go to the previous video, put it on Android. And once you have it on Android, you can join us back here where we're going to add some additional sound. If you want to have an Angry Birds game lesson for your personal use, not for distribution most likely, you can type in Angry Birds sound effects, and there's many. So I'm using this one here, downloads.khinsider.com, and I've downloaded the sound effects that I'm going to use. So let's look at the assets I've collected for audio. So in the main project, there's a subfolder assets, and within the assets folder there's another subfolder for audio. So I broke it up to SFX subfolder and some type of background music. Within the SFX folder, I've collected a number of assets for collision. This is when the bird collides with an object. This is when for example, the pig is destroyed. So you'll need to download or find some assets. So it's collision of the bird. It's when the pig is destroyed. This is when the bird is shot or it's flying in the air. This is the launch, although we don't have a catapult at this time. And this is the barrel colliding. Let's review it. You will need something when the bird collides. You'll need something when the enemy, in this case it's a pig, is destroyed. When the bird is flying, so after the first launch of the bird, there's another sound that's playing. And then the initial launch, as well as when the barrel or the crate, the pig is on some type of structure. When that thing hits something, you'll need this. So download all the audio and put it into the SFX file. In our images, so we're using the barrel, the crate, the pig, the background in this one, and the red. So when the pig is destroyed, I'm going to use another graphic and flip it so that there's this exploding, it's just there's no pig parts, it's just the cloud appears. So this is the graphic to switch to after when the bird collides with the pig, or the pig is destroyed by some mechanics in your game. Let's first implement the bird launch. Okay, so to recap, audio, assets, audio, SFX, and I have a graphics audio file called launch.mp3, and this is what we're going to use when the bird launches. Go into the code under lib, and in my structure I'm going to create another subfolder here for the actors. We have our main actor, which is our player. So I'll call it player.dart. And we have our player here. So I'm going to break it out. This isn't completely necessary, but at this stage the code is getting a little bit difficult to read. So we're going to break it up. So I'm taking out the class player. I'm dropping it into the new file. So we're going to need the Flame Forge 2D. And all right, so I've got 3 imports on player. Components from Flame, input, and then this is a separate package, right? For Flame Forge 2D. So now there's no red in this player class. And this one, control dot will work. Importing the player here. We don't need the vents. I'm gonna break out the ground. I'm actually gonna put the ground in world this time. Go to subfolder world. So there's the 2 parts of our game is the world and the actors. Actors are things you interact with. So we'll make a folder called ground. And we'll put our ground in there. And we at least need this. Okay, that was it. So go back to main and then look for the red, which is the ground. We're just going to do control dot and add it in right there. Let's break out the obstacle. We're going to put the obstacle in world this time. Obstacle dart, and we'll cut it out from main, and we'll drop it into obstacle. I'll go to ground. I'll grab this import line. And this one has a sprite component, so I'll do control dot and I imported the flame components.dart. Back in here, there's no obstacle within this file, so we import the class. Now I've got the files, these 4 files linked up together. And let's go back to our player. There are 2 audio files that we're going to use. So this is when the player launches and when the player is flying. In this case, the player is a bird and thus it can fly. So we'll set up the Flame audio pool, which is part of the Flame game system. And it'll be a special audio special effect. The audio needs to be imported. And it's not coming up. Okay. It's in Flame audio. Import package flame underscore audio flame underscore audio dot dart. And maybe I have to add it. Flutter pub add flame underscore audio. Okay, didn't add it before. All right. This import statement here is the audio pool from Flame Audio. So there's the launch one. And I think I also want to have another audio special effect when the bird is flying. Okay. We can now load the audio file. Launch SSX, so it's this name for the audio pool. An audio pool is from the Flame audio package actually. Await audio pool dot. We just create the pool and it's this subdirectory name, right? So it's in assets. It assumes the default is in assets. But we created a system here, right? So we created audio and special effects So for ours, it's in special effects, SFX. Then we have launch.mp3. And we need to have max players. So how many sounds are playing simultaneously? I think that we only want one playing simultaneously when whenever the bird launches. So we don't want it to launch consecutively. Because this is like if the max players is if you have bullets or something, which we don't have. We have a peaceful game. Well, I guess it is knocking down pigs, but there's no bullets. There's no laser fire. I guess you could add it in. Right, so we've got the two audio pools. Now we can just start the audio pool at the time of the launch. So let's go that. We already have the tap down. We built this in previously, so when you tap down on the bird, it applies the linear impulse. But we also want the sound to play. So we'll have so this is our audio pool. It's name that we created. And start is a built-in method to the audio pool. And we'll just specify the volume, maybe a little bit softer, 0.8. So let's see what happens. I got an error. I'm leaving it in so that we can help you. So if you go up to the top generally with the error, you can see that it's not finding it, right? But if you look at your assets, audio, SFX, it's right here. So what's going on? Well, think about it. Say, oh, you forgot to put it into these assets, right? So even though it's right there, the game doesn't know about it. So let's add this thing in. Assets, audio, SFX, and while we're at it, we're going to have some introduction music. So let's put that one in as well too, which is in audio. So let's look over here. So we've got audio, and we've got this bird's intro here on the left, and then within the subdirectory SFX, we've got it. Okay, so I think I already ran flutter pub get, but let's run it again, just to be safe. And then we'll see whether it can run it. In this tab, I'm selecting the debug console. And if you have any errors, there's some of these debug warnings from the graphics emulator on Android. Let's check it out. Okay, working. I think we also, right after this thing plays, we want to have a bit of a delay. So let's look at it again. So he hits it, and then I think there wants to be a little sound right when it's playing. So let's go ahead and do that. So how do you get the sound in sequence, right? You can probably figure it out. Maybe you want to give it a go, right? But you probably want to maybe wait about 500 milliseconds and then play the next sound. So the next sound is flying, SFX dot start volume. Set about the same, right? It's kind of optional, but it's good to have different volumes. But it's going to play one after the other. So this actually is not going to work. And you may have a solution in mind which you could implement. It's playing at the same time, right? So it's not the effect that we want. So let's just set up a delay, right? So we'll go future, delayed. It's standard Flutter. It's actually Dart. Then we're going to have this duration. We'll set it up to be 500 milliseconds. We'll see how it goes. And then right here is a comma. And then you have your callback function. And our callback function is this. So let's give it a go. So we have a short delay of 500 milliseconds, so half a second, between the time that the bird launches and the next sound is being played. So I'm going to keep this. You can, of course, adjust it to how you want your game to be. So right when the game starts, I have this bird's intro, kind of setting the mood or the tone for the game. And we've been dealing with the Flame audio pool, but there's another way to play audio, one of which is the background player. So why don't we experiment with that? So it's flame audio.bgm initialize. The Flame audio package. So this one was just imported. So you first initialize the background audio, and then we can play the bird sound. Flame audio.bgm.play, and then we'll just play the bird's intro.mp3, and I'm going to make it a little bit softer, so I'll have it 50% volume, and we'll see if it's going to be in a loop, so I'm going to stop it after, let's say, 10 seconds. Future.delayed duration that we just covered. This one will be seconds after 10 seconds. If it is going to stop, then we will stop the Flame audio. Okay, let's check it out. So I'm going to stop the music when the bird is actually pressed on. So back to the player. So this is the section that you've tapped on the bird. So I'm going to stop the Flame audio as well. And it was auto imported, I think. All right, let's try it again. I wanted to stop right here. Just for the game effect, right? So we can focus on the gameplay. So when the obstacles, which are these wooden crates right now, when they drop down, I think we want some, just a little bit of sound, so that maybe, a few of them, when they hit something, there's some type of indication that the boxes have moved around. So I'm going to set up a wood collision SFX within the obstacle file, and just imported the audio pool. So this is an obstacle.dart, and we need to load up, same as we've been doing before. So let's just load up the audio pool first. Wood collision SFX. We're waiting because it has to load it from disk. Audio pool, same as before, create, and it's the name of the file, audio.sfx would collision, in my case. This is the name of the file, right, that we're trying to play. And in this case, maybe I'll set the maximum players to, something like 3 or maybe 4. Just in case multiple things are hitting at the same time. And then to trigger it, this one, we don't have the mix-in applied yet. So let's first apply the mix-in with contact callbacks. Right. So if you recall, this one is from Flame Forge 2D. It's a little different than the collision, but kind of works almost exactly the same. So at least the basic paradigm for it. So override void begin contact, and it requires an object. We'll just call it other contact. So we'll set by if statement. So if other is ground, this is the name of the object, right? So when it first hits the ground, or other is player, or other is enemy. So these are all the classes that we created, and they're in separate files. And then me. Then we'll play the sound file. And they're red because they're not linked up. So we do control dot. Oh, it's right there. Control dot. I have the Dart Flutter extensions in VS Code. Control dot. And don't think I called it enemy. So right now we're using the obstacle class for the enemy, but we'll create another actor. Enemy does seem a bit hostile, where there's enemies and there's enemy. Okay. Okay, let's change the loader. Make sure it still works. Enemy. So I just changed it from obstacle to enemy. We'll see whether it still works. Completely missed it. Try it one more time. So the enemy, new class that we created, let's add a audio pool for when the bird hits. So we'll just trigger it. It's a little bit different than the actual Angry Birds game, but we'll trigger the bird to disappear, so the pig to disappear when the bird hits the pig. So to make our game a little simpler, we're going to It doesn't need this audio pool. That's, oh wait, I'm in the wrong file. Enemy. Okay. All right, I guess I could just change it to maybe destroyed. Destroyed SFX. We'll have it be destroyed SFX. Okay, then we'll sub the on contact or begin contact override from Flame Forge 2D begin contact object is other contact. So we're only going to destroy the pig if the right now if the other is player. Maybe we'll set up some other rules in our game. If other is player, we'll first play the destroyed SFX sound. Start. And then we will remove the pig right now. Remove from parent. And I'm going to need to be skillful enough actually to test this. I actually now have to hit the player to not have this. Let's look at it. Okay. There's no way to identify it from the game. So I think it's user data, and it's always going to be this. Let's give it a try. Alright, I think they simulated a little bit. Okay, it seems to be working now. Very good. So next video, what I want to do is change the pig to that cloud thing when it hits it.